respected and observed.
I call Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to stand and rise in support of the first reading of this Public Safety, Public Protection Orders Bill in the name of the Honourable Judith Collins, Minister of Justice. We've heard two presentations, one from the Minister and one from the Labour Justice spokesperson, Andrew Little, and I think that they've both been very good, measured and well-considered presentations. There are, unfortunately, in society, a very small number of troubled people who have fulfilled their obligations in terms of the criminal justice system, but still present a real and very threatening risk to the wider public. And so, as Andrew Little made the point in his speech, in less enlightened times, probably these people would have been incarcerated in some kind of mental institution where they would have been subjected to all kinds of indignities, both mental, physical and probably involving drugs and all kinds of treatments that today we would consider entirely inappropriate. So, as a Parliament, we do have an obligation to balance very carefully and very finely the responsibilities of the state to ensure that public are protected in their homes and as they go about their lawful business from this very small number of people who have the potential to inflict ongoing harm and danger to the general public. So this piece of legislation fulfils a campaign pledge that I and other members of the government campaigned on during the 2011 general election. It's aimed, sir, at people who reach the end of their finite prison sentence and who are subject to the most intensive form of extended supervision order and yet still pose a very high risk of imminent and serious sexual or violent reoffending, and where less restrictive forms of supervision are simply not going to be adequate for preventing almost further reoffending. So this is a government that believes that we should ensure that New Zealanders can feel safe in their homes and their communities, and so this fulfilment of an election promise is, I think, a significant piece of legislation, and I'm very pleased the Minister has been able to bring it to the House for consideration by the Justice and Electoral Select Committee. Because despite serving prison terms, there are a few dangerous offenders that are highly likely to reoffend once they have been released back into society, and existing mechanisms such as preventive detention and extended supervision orders which allow authorities to monitor, manage and or recall offenders to prison simply sometimes are not adequate to protect the public, and so this piece of legislation, I think, as we go through the Select Committee, will probe and make sure that the balance between the public's right to protection and also the individual's rights in terms of their fulfilment of their criminal justice penalties that have been inflicted upon them because of previous bad crimes will be neatly addressed. The bill balances those rights of New Zealanders to be safe in their community with the rights of offenders who have served their sentence. This bill will, sir, protect members of the public, and that's really what it's all about. The Public Protection Order will be a court order that will allow the detention of a very high-risk individual at a secure facility within existing prison precincts. Only a very small number of people are likely to be subjected to PPOs. As the Minister has indicated, the officials estimate that a maximum of somewhere between 5 and 12 offenders over the next decade are likely to be included by in these PPOs. And so it will be at the time that the Crown applies to the High Court for an order that individuals will have the opportunity to show that the Crown has not established that they meet the risk criteria. So what, sir, are the risk criteria? Well, very high risk will mean that offending is considered extremely likely. Serious means that the predicted offending would cause serious physical or psychological harm to one or more or other people. Imminent means that the offending is expected to occur when, provided with a suitable opportunity, the offender would immediately inflict serious physical or psychological harm to one or more people. So this, I think, will be a good piece of legislation. I'm very pleased, as I said, that the Minister has introduced it to the House, and as Chair of the Justice and Electoral Select Committee, I'm looking forward to the deliberations and to the submissions we will receive on it. I commend it to the House.
The Honourable Phil Goff.
Mr.